What is going on, everybody? Today we are going to compare Jalen Carter, Calijah Kancey, Bryan Bresee, as well as Siaki Ika. The four defensive tackles are all kind of being ranked in the first round. I think most of these guys go in the top 45, and I wouldn't be surprised if all of them end up going in the first round. They're all very unique football players. They all kind of have their own pros. Some of them have some cons, and we're going to discuss that in today's video. Everybody understands what Jalen Carter is, right? Jalen Carter is he's the number one player in this class by far, right? I think the difference between Jalen Carter and that second non-quarterback, rather you think that's Will Anderson, rather you think that's potentially a guy like Bryce Young. Jalen Carter is much better than all of those guys, and he's a not miss prospect. He's probably the only not miss prospect in this class. So when you look at a guy like Jalen Carter and you look at him and you can put his tape on, like the guy's tape does not lie. I mean, you look at these plays right here and Carter just crushes people. He's just so much stronger. He's able to get off blocks and move people in a way that is not normal. And this play right here kind of sums that up. And you see another play here where he does basically the same thing against number 71 of Oregon. Basically throws him to the side, blows the play up. Just the quickness, just the fact that he has so much going for him right now. From his physical tools, from his pass rush technique to the explosiveness. He has good size, right? Height as well as weight. Perfect combination of exactly what you want to see. And he is the number one prospect. But there's a lot of teams that need defensive linemen, and you're not going to get Jalen Carter unless you pick in the top 3, right? You're not going to get Carter if you're the Raiders at pick 7 or the Falcons at pick 8. You're not going to get Jalen Carter. So let's just be honest with that. But there are a couple other options. And up until where we're at today, it's the end of January 2023, obviously. Up until today, most guys had Bryan Bresee as the number 2 option. And some people had him mocked as a, potentially the 7th overall pick to the Raiders. Some people had him falling down maybe into the middle of the first round, right? Pick 15, 16. But some are now saying he's not even a first round pick. Now, I don't think that's true. I think Bryan Bresee is a very, very good football player. I think he has all the tools you want in a defensive tackle prospect. Obviously, he has to continue to develop just a little bit. Do understand, right? Bryan Bresee this past season was recovering from a torn ACL, an injury that might not impact a receiver the same way it impacts a bigger guy, right? Like an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, right? For those guys, it might take them a little bit longer to fully recover. Bresee also was going through some personal things with the passing of his sister. He also had a couple other issues kind of going on. I read somewhere he had like a kidney issue going on. He had some personal health issues. He wasn't fully conditioned, part of that injury as well. But the physical tools are there. Bryan Bresee is 6'5". He's massive, right? Most defensive tackles are like 6'1", 6'2". This guy's 6'5". He's 305 pounds, and he still has fairly good tape. You can see a lot of plays in which he shows off that pass rush technique. Here's a really good example of him being able to shed the left guard here. He's going to make contact initially, get the left hand, and he controls this offensive lineman with that left hand. You can see the control, you can see it, and at this point, he's going to shed the offensive guard to the side, bring the right arm over the top. He's going to get to the quarterback. On a different play, on this play, you see him at the top of your screen here, he's going to utilize a spin move, not something you see a lot of defensive linemen be able to effectively do and win. That's a pretty good spin move in my opinion right there. That spin move obviously leads to some pressure. He gets after the quarterback throws it away. Again, this guy has some tools, some traits that you can bring in and say, we want this guy because he can do some of these things. Now, obviously, you also have to keep in mind, Clemson's scheme isn't very friendly for defensive linemen. For guys like Myles Murphy, for guys like Bryan Bresee, even in the past, right? Like a guy like Isaiah Simmons, right? Their defense scheme's not very team friendly, right? Their defensive scheme is kind of revolved on this idea that we're going to score a lot of points and we're going to defend the pass. We're going to play a light box. We're going to let you run the football. And for the Clemson, it's worked in the past, but again, for us trying to evaluate some of these defensive players, it doesn't help us out a lot because Bryan Bresee oftentimes is one of 3 defensive linemen. Like the Clemson football team plays a lot of 3 down linemen. And that makes it hard because in the NFL, you're always likely bringing at least 4 guys. So Bresee a lot of the time would end up double teamed. Consider all the times that it's a quick one-step drop, three-step drop, run play to the opposite side of where Bresee is. You get a lot of plays where he doesn't make an impact, right? So you're really searching for those true pass sets, those true one-on-one plays. But when you look at Bryan Bresee just kind of standing back and kind of what he was able to do, I still think he's a first round prospect. Now, does he go in the first round? I think there's a chance he does. I think this draft class here is kind of weak. But do understand, Mel Kiper just did a mock draft, and in that mock draft, he did not have Bryan Bresee going in the first round. Bresee ended up falling. He ended up slipping, which kind of surprised a lot of people. Like, he didn't get taken in Mel Kiper's first mock draft. 31 picks. Bryan Bresee wasn't one of them. Keeping in mind, tackles, offensive tackles are very weak in this class. Receivers are fairly weak. This class isn't the classes that we had last year, right? But with that also being said, we got some quarterbacks. We got some good running backs. We have some good defensive tackles. We haven't had 4 potential first-round defensive tackles in a while. Right? It's been a number of years since we've had that. So, in my opinion, Bryan Bresee should go in the first round. Right now, I have him pegged as my number 3 defensive tackle. There's actually a guy that I think is better than him. Obviously, Jalen Carter's number 1. Bresee's number 3. Number 2, in my opinion, in this class is a guy that's really just came to the scene. That is Calijah Kancey. Calijah Kancey is an absolute game wrecker. In my opinion, this guy right here, if he was 2 inches taller, 15 pounds heavier, he would be better than Jalen Carter in this class. In my opinion, I truly believe that. If he was just 2 inches taller, 15 pounds heavier. In my opinion, this guy is different. This guy is technically 6 feet. At least that's what we're told right now. We'll get the combine numbers here soon, right, in a couple of weeks. He's right now 6'1", 281 pounds. Those are the official numbers for Kancey. But if you guys just watch some of his tape, the guy is unfreaking blockable, man. You look at this play right here. Look at how quickly he beats the left guard here. Instantly beats him. Center has no shot to block him, and he gets to the quarterback and he brings the quarterback down. On this play here, gets right into the chest of that center, takes him right back into the quarterback, gets to the quarterback. Another play goes right over the center there. I mean, look at how effortlessly he does this stuff right here. This is not normal to be able to swim right over a guy within a second of the quarterback getting the football. Like, look at this from the quarterback's perspective. Quarterback just catches the football. He takes one step and just starts to look to his right to kind of start reading the defense. And you already have a guy right in your face. That is not normal. A couple other clips you guys can watch of him just kind of dominating, pushing a guy back, as you see there. Calijah Kancey is a game wrecker. In my opinion, he's going to be one of the best defensive linemen out of this class. And it's crazy to think this because I just watched this guy's tape recently, like literally in the last 2 to 3 weeks. I'm sorry, last 2 to 3 days. Keep in mind, I haven't had Pitt tape. And I hadn't even gotten down to him. He was like, according to the NFL mock draft database, he's not even ranked that high right now. Like, technically, before just a week ago, right, Mel Kiper ranked him as the 10th best player, or he mocked him 10th overall in his recent mock draft. But up until just recently, there were 6, 7, 8 guys ahead of him. He was the 9th defensive tackle. So I hadn't even gotten to this guy, right? I literally had just gotten through the top 4 or 5 defensive linemen. Still kind of working on the offensive linemen, got into some defensive linemen. I hadn't even gotten to him, and now we watch his tape and we're like, this guy's crazy. He's explosive. He's different, right? You don't get a lot of guys that have the hand-to-hand pass rush technique that a guy like Calijah Kancey has. Now, obviously, the number one question everybody has is, well, he's 6 foot and he's only 281 pounds. Is that going to be good enough, or is that an issue? Here's my opinion on it. Warren Sapp officially measured at 6'1", 281 pounds. I want to ask you guys a question. If the next Warren Sapp was available, does this much in height make that much of a difference, or you're not going to take this guy? If Warren Sapp is available, this much is 1 inch. Is that all it takes for you to say, I'm not drafting a guy literally this much height? I'm not saying he's Warren Sapp, right? That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just making a point that people are going to say, and they're going to continue to say, that I will take Calijah Kancey, but I'll take him in the second round. Or I'll take him in the third round. I'll just let him fall. Assuming he's going to fall. And I don't think he's going to fall. I think Calijah Kancey is going to end up going in the top 15 to 20 picks. I don't know if he'll be the 10th overall pick, but I do know that if this guy was just a little bit heavier, just a little bit taller, I would have him higher than I have Jalen Carter. Obviously, some people question his run defense. Is he good at when it comes to run defense? I think he's good enough. I think he plays with great leverage. Does a great job being able to beat guys using his hands, right? One of the things with good pass rush technique is you can kind of take that and apply it to run defense. And he does just that, right? So, again, I did a full breakdown of his film. I'll put that in the comments below if you guys want to go check it out. We go over all these different reps. In my opinion, he's a top 15 pick. We'll see, obviously, what kind of happens. He is my number 2 defensive tackle prospect. Of course, as I said, 3 is Bryan Bresee. Everybody has Carter as 1. Number 4 for me right now is Siaki Ika out of Baylor. Here's the thing. Not a lot of people are 6'4", 360 pounds, and they're a nose tackle. Not a lot of people are that. That's kind of getting up there in the Jordan Davis kind of mold, right? Obviously, Davis is, I think, like 2 inches taller, maybe like 15, 20 pounds heavier. But that's kind of getting up into that range where you're just massive. You're just bigger than the next guy. Think about it. How many centers in the NFL are 6'4"? Right? Not a lot of them. A lot of NFL centers are 6'1", 6'2", some are 6'3". A lot of them aren't 6'4", a lot of them are not 6'5". Even guards, a lot of them are not 6'4", 6'5", although, you know, we're getting bigger players in the NFL today at the interior offensive line position. But keep in mind, 6'4", 360 is a massive human. And the thing is it's one thing if you can't really move. This guy's not that. If you guys watch him right here lined up over the right guard in the 2-eye, watch how he moves, man. Look at the hand-to-hand combat. Left punch, right arm comes kind of over the top, and he just gets right around a guy. 350 plus pounds is what this tweet says. Check this play out. He's lined up right here in the basically nose, really just is the one technique. Watch him use those quick hands, quick feet, bam, swims right over a guy. That's special, man. That type of stuff right there is absolutely special. Gets right over the top, gets into the backfield. Doesn't make the play right here, right? This is Bijan Robinson, if you guys don't know, superstar running back. But in my opinion, Baylor knows Ika is going to be a first-round pick. I think the NFL is starting to do this thing where they're starting to value size a lot more. You know, it didn't matter 5 years ago if a guy was 6'1" or 6'5", if he was one guy was better on tape than the other. Today, it's more of if there's a guy that's 6'5" and he can move well, today he's going to go a little bit higher than the guy that's not maybe as big and strong, but he may be better in terms of his technique. Today, I think NFL teams value guys like Jordan Davis over a guy like Devontae Wyatt. Although I think Wyatt's still going to have the better career, I think teams like the upside more, right? And I think a guy like Siaki Ika being 6'4", 360, he may be the guy that ends up being the second defensive tackle taken. I would not be surprised with that size that he has, 6'4", 360. Very big, but he's quick, has the light feet. Kind of reminds me of a guy like Vita Vea, who's strong, who's powerful, who's physical, but he's quick, right? So for me, that's kind of what I see with him right now. Do note, Mel didn't have him ranked as the number, or in the first round, he didn't have him as a first round prospect. You guys can see right now, he's kind of being ranked as the 37th pick, according to the mock draft database, which is okay. I do think that as, you know, the draft kind of comes to a close, I think Ika ends up going in the first round. I think Bresee ends up going in the first round. I think Carter obviously will be a top 5 pick. And then I think Calijah Kancey will also be a first round pick. And then don't be surprised if the guy out of USC, Tuli Tuipulotu, ends up also being a first round pick. Some guys like Mozzie Smith a lot. Maybe not a first round, but likely a top 64. Either way, man, this defensive tackle class is very, very, very deep. And there's a lot of good guys, in my opinion, especially on the top end. I think those 4 guys are all going to be very good football players. We're going to look at this draft class in 5 years and say this draft class at the interior defensive line position has changed a lot of teams, right? That happens sometimes, right? It happened a couple years back when we had the two Clemson guys come out. I think it was Christian Wilkins. Can't remember the other guy. And there was a couple other defense tackles that came out that same year. That class changed how kind of we look at D tackles today, right? And that was like 4 years ago. So I think this class in 4 to 5 years, we're going to say was a very good defensive tackle class. If you need a D tackle, you can't go wrong with any of these 4 guys. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know about these 4 guys. Let me know in the comments below. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.